Welcome into First Take. Thank you so much for hanging with us today. Skip Bayless, Molly Karam holding things down in Bristol. Stephen A. on the West Coast. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Good morning. Good morning. How y'all doing?
I'm good.
Did you just say you're sleepy? I've never heard you say you're sleepy in all my years with you. When that little red light comes on, mine just did. Hi, how are you? You just wake right up.
He does.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's the deal. The lights are on now, so I'm ready. I was just acknowledging that I'm sleepy. It's just the truth.
You can be
but I
sleepy
am
for
ready.
the Mike and Mike tease, but now,
There you go.
Now
There you go.
Bring it, baby.
That's right.
Now the
I was
real
asked
show
that
starts,
question.
right?
I was asked that question
Yeah.
while Mike and Mike was on the air, not while First Take is on the air.
All right, let's do it. We also have Karan Butler joining us, two-time All-Star NBA champ. We'll break down the finals. And Spike Lee in the house. Can't wait to talk to him about his latest
What does
project.
he want? What does Spike Lee want?
Hopefully
What does
to
he
give you a little
want?
trouble. He's got a lot to get into, a lot of projects he's
It's
working on.
his fault. It's his fault what the state of the New York Knicks are. It's
His
all
fault?
his fault. I'll explain when he comes on.
Oh, boy.
It's all his fault.
All right. First, let's react to Game 1, shall we? So the NBA Finals got underway last night. The usual suspects, though, weren't the story of Game 1. A bit surprising. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson combined for only 20 points, while the Warriors bench outscored the Cavs bench 45-10. Now, not only did the bench steal the game for Golden State, they're stealing headlines, too. This morning, San Francisco Chronicle front page reads, benchmark victory. Stephen Anthony, what was your takeaway from the Warriors' Game 1 win?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the Stephen Anthony. My mother would love that because no one has ever called me that on television. So congratulations with that, Miss Molly. I will say this to you. When I looked at the Golden State Warriors last night, Skip, Molly, I was kind of shocked. I wasn't shocked at the outcome, but I was shocked at how it transpired. For Klay Thompson and Steph Curry to be as anemic as they were offensively for the most part, I didn't anticipate. You expect that somehow, some way, maybe one of them will have trouble, not two of them. The fact that two of them had the trouble that they had was quite surprising. But for Klay Thompson and Steph Curry to combine for 8 for 27 shooting, for them to combine for 20 points, for the word anemic to be associated with their offensive game, and for the Golden State Warriors to still win by 15, I think is relatively shocking. Sean Livingston was spectacular. There's no other word that would be more appropriate than that. He was spectacular. Leandro Barbosa was a spark plug. He had all 5 of his shots for the game, but that 7-point spurt that he had in the second quarter obviously was something that couldn't be ignored. And Andre Iguodala had just an all-around game. He was effective throughout, particularly in the third quarter, actually after he got hit in the wrong spot. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. But when you talk about their bench production, which ended up being a 45-10 advantage over Cleveland, clearly it was about Sean Livingston and the absolute show that he put on. His mid-range game, the matchup problems he causes, his ability to shoot over guys, to rebound, to lead, to break, to make the appropriate passes. He just displayed a complete floor game. And I got to admit to you, it left me thinking about Cleveland. I picked them to lose this series in 7. I'm not going to overreact and be a prisoner of the moment and act like one game defines this series, because it does not. But it made sense to me why there were those out there, including our very own Jeff Van Gundy, who predicted that Golden State would win this series in 5 games. They just seemed to be overwhelming to the Cavaliers. LeBron James needs to be shooting the ball inside. He doesn't even need to be taking another jump shot. Tristan Thompson, I thought, had an effective game. Kevin Love was not sorry. He showed up. Kyrie Irving struggled shooting from the field, but still, the big 3 put up buckets. And I used the analogy last night, Skip, on SportsCenter, and I'll say it again to you. Who shot JR from that old Dallas flick with Larry Hagman and the crew? I mean, listen, who shot JR? Somebody looked like they did something to him. Maybe it was the wrist injury when he slid to the floor early in the first quarter, whatever the case may be. But he didn't show up at all. Just 3 points, an absolutely anemic performance, to say the least. Impotent performance. He was nowhere to be found. And they've got to get something from him. But in the end, Golden State did leave you saying to yourself, my goodness, even if everybody shows up, how can they beat this Warriors team? I will add this last point. It doesn't help that on 9 occasions, Kyrie Irving went up the basketball floor, dribbling the basketball, and without passing it once, he attempted a shot and went 1 for 9 from the field in situations where he did not pass the ball. He just pushed the ball up the floor and shot it without passing it. He did it 9 times, only made 1 shot, and was 0 for 6 when he did that on the floor with LeBron James. That cannot happen.
By the way, quick point of order. Dallas was a TV show, not a movie.
Yes.
Just for the record.
It was a TV show.
Since I worked in Dallas, I got to defend the show
movie.
that I hated. But
it was one of my favorites. It was one of my favorites. Larry Hagman. I loved the Larry Hagman and those boys. I loved it.
Yeah, that was more about Houston than it was about Dallas. But that's just me.
It was Dallas, Texas.
We're off topic here. But before I get to my answer to Molly's question on J.R. Smith, who shot J.R., just a quick point of order there also. Did Ty Lue shoot him? Did LeBron shoot him? Because, seriously, he only took 3. I mean, I don't. It's not like he went 0 for 6
he
or
had
1 for 7 or
Skip.
4 for 14.
He had opportunities.
So you saying
he
was running from shots?
No, I don't know
Smith
what
was running from shots.
I'm not
turning
accusing
down
him.
shots.
I'm not accusing him of that. But Skip, if you are the shooting guard and you are on the floor for 36 minutes, there's no way in hell why you should attempt 3 shots unless we come to find out that he was really hurt.
Maybe. Okay, now, I get all the points you just made, all of them valid as always, but I got a different takeaway than you have. To me, Cleveland's 2 biggest stars, obviously LeBron and Kyrie, blew what surely will be their best opportunity to steal a game at Oracle. Because this one, to me, Golden State was saying, here, take this game, and neither LeBron nor Kyrie could or would take it. It was so incredibly stealable all the way to the end of the 3rd quarter, and it takes stars to steal a game, and the 2 stars, to me, were sort of shockingly disappointing. Their games, both Kyrie and LeBron, were lackluster at best to me. To me, LeBron had the quietest near triple-double, only 1 assist shy, that you will ever see in a big playoff game. And Kyrie, what did he end up with, 26 points? That's as misleading and less impactless of 26 points as you'll ever see in a big playoff game. They did not show up the way they're highly capable of showing up, either one, to impact the game. I told you yesterday I thought Golden State would be drained from that epic OKC escape. And it wasn't that Golden State was drained, because obviously their second unit was not drained, but their 2 stars looked a little drained. Just they lost a little of their OKC magic because they spent it all in games 5, 6, and 7. They weren't quite ready to get back into the flow of this and save another day or night. And as you know, Steph and Clay combined for their lowest point total of the year. Who knew? Who saw that coming? And so, to me, it's begging for LeBron or Kyrie to win it, and they couldn't capitalize. They couldn't take advantage of many positives. So, Stephen A., this is what I thought. I thought about you after the game, watching you on SportsCenter, looking at my box score, and I kept looking at the box score thinking, gee, if I had Stephen A., and for whatever reason you had not been able to watch the game, and then I started reading you numbers from the box score after the game and you didn't know the score, I promise you I could convince you that Cleveland won the game big. I could do it by saying, look, the 2 stars for Golden State combined for 20 points, and they only made 4 3-point shots. And as you well know, being at Oracle, it's the threes that raise the roof at Oracle. It's that the threes detonate the crowd into ear-splitting decibel range. And they couldn't make them last night, so the crowd keeps going, and so they kind of shot their own crowd out of the game with only 4 threes. And then what if I told you, again, LeBron had a near triple-double, only 1 assist shy, and your X factor, what if I told you the guy that you said he's got to show up, Kevin Love, he showed up. He went 17 and 13. That's pretty good. That's good enough to win the game. Then what if I told you that Cleveland out-rebounded Golden State by 6? That's pretty great at Oracle, okay? What if I told you that Cleveland, the visiting team, had 18 made free throws to only 9 for Golden State, and that Steph and Clay made 0 free throws between them and had only one attempt? What if I told you Kyrie Irving, making 11 out of 12, had more makes and more attempts than the entire Golden State team on free throws? What if I told you that Cleveland led in fast break points 18-9? I'm just making a case. If I told you all those things and you hadn't seen the game, these are huge positives here where you'd step back and you'd say, okay, you got me. Cleveland, what? You might even say Cleveland won big. And of course, as we all know, they lost by 15. And as we all know, the key stat that misleads you in the box score, that cancels all the other stats, is that the bench outscored, Golden State's bench outscored Cleveland's 45-10. So Cleveland's non-starters were a plus 15. Well, I'm sorry, Golden State's non-starters were plus 15. Cleveland's were a minus 15, and the final score was 15 points. That was the margin, so it's pretty easy to do the math on that. But I want to remind everybody, before you get carried away and say, wow, Cleveland looked overmatched, and I get you. That's kind of my heart starts going there. But Stephen A., with 1 minute and 27 seconds left in the third quarter, the Cavs had the lead by 1 point. And allow me to talk about that one Delhi play, and we'll talk about it more, whether it was clean or dirty, later in the show. But to me, that was the pivotal point. The turning point in the game was Dellavedova turns it over on one end, and maybe in some frustration goes to the other end, and of course slaps and hits Iguodala in the groin area, and it's a foul, and Iguodala gets mad. And Klay Thompson said, you rarely see Iguodala get mad. And he got so mad that he came back down the next time and makes a big three that balloons the lead to 6. And then he scored 2 more baskets quickly early in the fourth, and all of a sudden the game just breaks open. I know Sean Livingston has 20 points and had a big fourth quarter, but by then the game was a rout. So my point is, I just gave you a lot of positives, and the game's on a silver platter for LeBron or Kyrie to say, okay, I got this. And you steal the game the way Oklahoma City did game 1 when Russell Westbrook in the second half said, okay, I got this. Neither one of those guys could say, I got this last night.
Well, here's the deal. First of all, first things first. It's always nice to hear you talk about how you were watching me on television late at night, because that's what I'm trying to say.
I see you in my sleep.
That's my boy. That's my boy letting me know that he misses me.
That's
my boy letting me know. That's my boy letting me know he misses me. That's what that is. That's what that's about. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. Skip Bayless, let's just call it what it is. First of all, Sean Livingston's a mismatch for most guards in this league. He's 6'8", legitimately. He's got a mid-range game, and he's highly intelligent as a basketball player. Rarely, if ever, does he make stupid decisions. It just doesn't happen. It's not a part of his makeup. That's number one. Number two, when you look at Cleveland, you got a problem, because when Love and Kyrie is on the floor, you've got offense, but your defense is compromised. When Dellavedova and Shumpert are on the floor, you've got your defense handled, but you're offensively compromised. And so that's a problem for Cleveland going up against a complete team like the Golden State Warriors, because where you have 3 scorers, they have about 6. Plus, they have 4 big-time defenders. Big-time defenders. Draymond Green, Bogut, Klay Thompson, and Andre Iguodala are considered elite defenders on this level. And so you've got that problem. And then let's take into account LeBron James. And let's just put it out here. LeBron James is a superstar. He's the champ. You're not the champion now, but he's a 2-time champion, a 4-time league MVP, universally recognized, one of the great players in the game. I'm not about to poo-poo that reality. We all know it to be true. But let's not be deceived by the numbers, which at times people do when it comes to LeBron. 23, 12, and 9. Absolutely. Those are impressive numbers until you see that he shot 9 for 21 and he shot 42.9%. Why is that a big deal, Skip? Because there's no reason he shouldn't have been shooting better than 50%. Do you know why? Because This dude can score inside on Golden State at will. What the hell you taking jumpers for? When the lanes are wide open, he could do whatever he wants to against Golden State down low. Then the other part about it is this. Remember when Cleveland climbed back into the mix? And they took the lead ultimately before Golden State went on a 15-0 run that ultimately ballooned to a 23-6 run. Remember all of that? Cleveland was still in the game, still in a position where they were coming back because they had gotten the lead and then ultimately fell down by about 12 or 13. And then here they come trying to come back again. 2 pivotal turnovers by LeBron James.
Yep.
2 of them. Okay, so when we look at it from that perspective, again, it's just one game. It's no reason to denigrate him. There's no reason to act like this series is over or anything like that. But it is pointing out how this is not just about the bench getting obliterated, and LeBron James did everything post-game other than flat out say, my bench stinks. That's basically what he wanted to say last night because that's how he felt. But the other side to this is this. Kevin Love showed up, as far as I'm concerned. He did his job. Kyrie Irving wasn't that impressive offensively because of how he was shooting from the field. I think it was like 7 of 22. That's 31%. That's not impressive.
No.
And LeBron James didn't exploit Golden State the way that it did. So when we talk about the big three, 2 of the big 3, weren't stellar. One, as far as I'm concerned, struggled miserably shooting from the field. The other made key mistakes in what he was doing, and their bench was atrocious. And I don't know why Tyronn Lue had LeBron sitting at the beginning of the 4th quarter. You can point to all of those different things. In the end, it comes down to the fact that Golden State is a more complete team. They're a deeper team. They're a better team. And if Cleveland is going to beat them, Cleveland needs to bring their A game. It's just that simple.
Okay, to your LeBron point, it's why I called his near triple-double so misleading. It's as quiet as you'll ever see in a playoff game that's winnable on the road at Golden State. To your point, in the first quarter, remember, Iguodala did not start the game. He came in the first quarter, but he did not start. But in the first quarter, LeBron took 5 shots, all of them drive shots where he attacked the basket, as we all say that he should do because he is an unstoppable freight train. He made 4 of those 5 shots. After the first quarter, in quarters 2, 3, and 4, LeBron James drove to the basket a total of 6 times. So 5 drives in the first quarter, 6 in the next 3 quarters. And to your point, he drifts farther and farther out. I believe his length of shot in the first quarter was 1.8 feet, and after that it was 10.4 feet the next 3 quarters. So to your point, he starts taking jump shots, which is not his strength. So why is that? Are we getting to the point that when Iguodala guards him, I don't want to go to the word own, but is it getting to the point where Iguodala just has a psychological edge on LeBron? Does LeBron not think he can take Iguodala to the rack? Does he think that he's too long and too shrewd and too crafty, that he knocks the ball out of LeBron's hands? I don't know. LeBron drifts on Iguodala. And this is a big reason that Iguodala won MVP last year in the finals. And by the way, to me, if I had to vote for an MVP just off the first game, I'd vote for Iguodala again because he fills the stat sheet. He had 7 rebounds and 6 assists.
Last night, Sean Livingston would have been my MVP.
I disagree because of the job Iguodala did for 3.5 quarters on LeBron James. It was stellar, man. He bothers him. I don't know if he gets inside his head, but he gets inside his game. How do you explain it? LeBron starts to shrink back from the basket when Iguodala guards him. We saw it last year in the finals.
I can explain it to you by pointing out how Kyrie Irving was jacking up shots and not facilitating passing and moving the basketball. I can point out how there were a couple of times when LeBron James did drive to the basket against Iguodala, and Chauncey Billups and myself were sitting there and saying, do it more, because whenever he did it, it was working effectively, and he showed the capability to do it. But he seemed like he was trying to get others involved and saying, look, don't look for me to do this all by myself. The reality is that he possibly is going to have to adopt the mentality, the hell with all of this. I'll do it by myself if I have to. He may have to have that attitude.
Okay. So the other thing I want to point out, and maybe you and Chauncey noticed this, but do you realize Cleveland missed 28 shots in the lane? It just seemed like all night long there are point-blank sort of shots that you usually make. You make, I don't know, 75% of those shots, and they missed 28 times. How many times did you see somebody get to the cup, if you will, get to the basket, and not finish? It's like, and it's not like Golden State's that long. It's Draymond, you know, you get a little bit of Bogut and Ezeli, but they're not a dominating shot-blocking team. But against Cleveland, they sure look like one. Cleveland looked intimidated at the basket, couldn't finish. 28 missed shots at the basket. You're going to lose, and that's a big stat that it's not in the box score.
Okay.
All right, so that's our thoughts there on game one. But game two, we know it can change game to game in a series. Teams that trail 0-2 in the NBA Finals are 3-28. So game two is imperative. Will the Cavs even it up, or will the Warriors continue to roll? Find out next.